Hi, welcome to Pop Chat. My name is Annette Tarpley, and I am here with Elizabeth Ogunmodede, and I don't know where her picture is, so she froze. Um, if you can hear me, Elizabeth, go in and out again. She's coming to us from Nigeria, and she's the guest today. I send my apologies to everyone because I horribly. So, Elizabeth, if you can hear me, you need to go out and back in again. She's from Nigeria, and very often we do have a lot of technical difficulties from over from there to here. So, hopefully, she will go out. I think she's back with us. Let me see if I can bring her back in. There you are. Hold on just a second. I need to unmute you. Or can you unmute yourself?
Hi.
Hey, there you go. Great. Welcome, Elizabeth. She's frozen. She's frozen time, so she's saying hi to us. So she's Elizabeth has been on here a few times. She's been a member of the Passion of Poetry or Pop for many years. I consider she's really not my protege. She's Jill Sharon Kimmelman's, but hopefully I've caused or did some mentoring to her through the years. And Elizabeth is young, just graduated from high school last year, and has entered college in Nigeria, where I think she eventually wants to be a lawyer, actually. But she has been a writer for many years. In her young age, she actually has produced many books, more than I have. She also produces magazines and has highlighted many people on the cover of them. And I am honored to have been the first person that she covered on her magazine, right, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Oh, look at she's got
Over
it.
here.
You know, I gave that to somebody who wanted it. I don't even have a copy. I need to go get a couple copies, so I'll have to do that. But yeah, do the sun. Yeah, that was me 30 some years ago. I don't look like that anymore, but it's so good to have you here, Elizabeth. I was
Thank
just
you so
saying.
much for having me.
You're welcome. I was just saying how I was trying to ad lib during our technical difficulty times. I need to apologize that I got the times wrong for today. Elizabeth was right on her time. She was um, here at 2 o'clock her time, which I really badly messed up and thought that was 7 p.m. my time, 5 hours difference, but it's 5 hours the other way. And so we had to very quickly put it together this morning while she still had internet. And so I apologize for the impromptu change, and we had to just switch things around real quick. And then I was up all night with my Canva, another thing, still having problems with that. So I could not even change the times on the flyer. So I apologize for that, but that's the way life rolls, right? So just the way it goes. So tell me,
It's fine.
Elizabeth, tell me about you and what you're doing. Tell everyone about, introduce yourself, and then go ahead and tell us about your career as far as writing is concerned, because you're even more penned than myself. And go ahead and tell us about your ventures in your education right now. I'll give the
Okay.
to you, darling.
All right. Thank you so much, Annette, for having me here. And good afternoon from Nigeria to everyone around the world. I am Elizabeth Ogunmodede. I am a 17-year-old poet and an author of 6 books. I started writing when I was 8 years old, and this is my first book titled Lessons from Grandma, a collection of short stories. I also have with me here Tremendous Words, Unique Poems from an African Teen. This is published by Wildfire Public Wildfire Publications. And here I have with me The Beauty of Words by Elizabeth Ogunmodede, a collection of poems published by Prolific Pulse Press LLC. Here I have Ladder to the Top, a book of prose and poetry published by Prolific Pulse Press LLC. And I have here, ladder to the top, a book of prose, also published by Prolific Pulse Press LLC. Then I have this amazing collection of poems titled Wisdom and Voices. It's a family anthology, and I am one of the contributors to this anthology, Wisdom and Voices, published by Mindfield Publishing. I have here Prolific Pulsations. This is an anthology I contributed to by Prolific Pulse Press LLC. And Heartbeats as well. Heartbeats, an anthology of poetry. So those and many more, because I have had the honor of contributing to other anthologies like the Guidance of the Quill anthology and others. And I am a UI UX designer. I'm a graphic designer. I am a website developer, and I own a company called Eye Opener Productions Global Network Limited. My company, Eye Opener Production, owns magazine. And here is the first publication of the Author Lifestyle and Book Talk magazine,
Yes, yours truly.
featuring Annette Tarpley as the cover model of the magazine. And we have our second edition that featured Jill Sharon Kimmelman as the cover model.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So, so we're gonna have technical difficulties, I think, on and off. You're just kind of going in and out, Elizabeth, which is a shame. Don't know if you can go back in and out again. You're frozen, but
And
yeah. So there, I think you're coming back. I can hear you.
yes, yes. So
Good.
I was explaining that my company, besides the Auto Lifestyle and Book Talk magazine, which is like our frontline project, we also do book publications. Yes, we've published books. We do website designs, graphic designs, UI UX designs, and creative writing. Um, Presently, I am studying law at a prestigious Nigerian university, Joseph Ayo Babalola University in Osun State. And I'm presently working on a project that I believe will be a groundbreaking project. It's going to be a law tech project. And I can't wait for it to come live. But yes, I'm putting together my tech knowledge, my creative writing skills, and I think what makes me me, yes, I'm putting everything together to create this project that I feel would really change the legal system here in Nigeria and probably the world at large. And I have an
Wonderful.
opportunity to be mentored by amazing, amazing authors around the world. I have a few of their books here. I think I'm going to start off with Two Hearts. Two Hearts, a book of poetry by Annette Tarpley and Safraz Ahmed. And yeah, this is one of my favorite books. I have After the Rainbow by Zan Jones. I have You Are the Poem by my beloved mentor, Jill Sharon Kimmelman. And yes, this
Forward
was a
by
gift
more. Forward
from
by more.
a friend of mine, Share Chandley. This is Soul of Humanity, amongst many others. A big shout out to my mentors. They have been so amazing, so supportive in Virginia, all around the USA, in UK, in Asia, and to all my supporters. I say a big shout out and thank you. Thank you for loving and supporting me.
Well, we certainly do love and support you. And I think probably, Elizabeth, you are probably one of the most remarkable people that I've ever met, and entirely.
Thank you.
And that is not just for your age, because I think that what you've done even goes beyond age. What you've done at your young age goes beyond what most people don't accomplish in a lifetime. So
Thank
you've just,
you.
yeah, you've been remarkable, and you'll do great things. And you'll,
Thank you.
not that you'll be somebody someday, because you already are, but you'll be more well known to the masses someday. So it'll
Thank
happen.
you.
I don't know if it's going to be in law though. I'm just saying. It
I
might
hope
be.
so. I hope so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you can succeed in that as well. I'm just trying to keep you in the writing realm as well.
I
So
know. I know.
we have to somehow bridge the two together.
Yeah,
So maybe
somehow I'm trying to
maybe you
create a
can recite
balance.
some poetry in the courtroom if you go in the courtroom.
What'd you say?
Maybe if you go to the courtroom, you can introduce some poetry into it.
I mean, I'm trying to find a balance between my writing and my poetry. I remember when I was younger, when I was in primary school, I watched this interview on Channel's book club, and I saw this woman, and she is a lawyer, and she is a writer as well, and she is a poet actually. Then she said something that struck me. She said, I am a lawyer by day and a writer by night.
Oh, nice, nice. So where,
Yeah,
because I haven't
I was
known you for so
inspired.
long, and I know, so having known you for so long, I'm just trying to figure out what made you go the law path. What made you interested in that? You
Sorry?
think you, what made you go the law path? What made you go into
Oh,
wanting?
okay. So when I was younger, I've always had the question of what I would like to become. What do I want to do when I grow up? And growing up, I wanted to do a lot of things. There were times I walked up to my parents and I said, I want to become a doctor, I want to become a neurosurgeon. There were a lot of things. I mean, the world is so broad and there are so many career paths. And as a child, I had so many dreams. And so I used to tell my parents, I want to do this and I want to do that. And there was something there's something I would always appreciate my parents for. My dad and my mom, they would listen, especially my dad, because um, my dad is my closest pal. I would like to say that my dad is my closest pal. So my dad would listen, and he would say to me, do you think you're passionate about this? And then we'll actually talk things through. And my dad would explain. I was young. I was quite young. I was probably in my 8 7 8 years, and so he would sit me down and he would explain in the most explanatory way. He would tell me what this career path entailed, what it meant to be a doctor, what it meant to be a lawyer, what it meant to be an engineer, what it meant to be a neurosurgeon, what it meant to be a nurse. And so he would explain it to me in such a nice way. And then when he was done, I would think to myself and say, I don't think I have what it takes to be to do this. And yeah, I was just going through a lot of career paths and thinking what I would like to become. Those were the years when I read Gifted Hands by Ben Carson. I read um I read Think Big by Ben Carson. And then I was when my dad spoke to me, I was still of the opinion that I could become a neurosurgeon because I was so motivated by Ben Carson. And I said, I would like to become a neurosurgeon. Well, up until this time in primary school when I my diction master gave me this um should I say a presentation to make, and it was on one of Nigeria's most renowned lawyers, Gani Fawaimi. And so I had to read on Gani Fawaimi, and I was so stunned. I was inspired by the legal profession, and because I attended my school then was the infrastructure of my school then in those days was kind of like somehow owned by Gani Fawaimi. So I knew I had this background. I knew a bit about this man, and I was just so inspired. And I spoke to my dad about the legal profession. I said, I think I love this thing. And then my dad was like, you still have plenty of time to decide. I think you should just take your time to decide. And so I went into
I think you're frozen again for a moment. Goodness. So she was going on a good roll there, no freezing. So maybe she'll become unfrozen. So Elizabeth, if you can hear me, you're frozen again. Don't know if you need to go out and in again. And so this whole adventure might be today. Unfortunately, the reception is just bad. But Elizabeth is such a wonderful person that I certainly want to highlight her again. So it's interesting to me that how she talks about how her father gave her those options, or explained to her what she could be when she grew up. You could be a doctor, a lawyer, this and that, and this is what these people do, and really kind of painted the picture for her, and then she chose that way. Her father, Richard, I believe, has been a great influence on her, and is also a writer and a poet, and very much is a big cheerleader for her. She actually has, I think, I'm not wrong in saying this. I'm thinking she has, I think it's her. Oh, there you are, Elizabeth. I don't know if you can hear me talking about you. I was
I
talking
can
about
hear
how
you.
a support your father is, and and that he's a writer and a poet also. But I was just going
He
to
is.
say, you have many members of your family that are writers, right? Isn't it
Yes, and
you?
that's why we have this anthology of poems, Wisdom and Voices, by the descendants of Pa Robert Ajayi Bright. That's my great grandfather.
So did it start with him, the writing, or
I we like to think so because he's the closest man, or the closest should I say ancestor that we can attribute poetry to. Because okay, I'll read something from Wisdom and Voices here. So
is this a piece of his?
n- um it's something about him before the poetry. I mean, something like an
Yeah.
introduction. So it says,
Go
it
ahead, and
says
is that your piece though? Because I was wanting you to start reading some of your stuff. So,
Wisdom and Voices.
and
So
is this
I'm going to be reading something about Pa Robert Ajayi Bright, my great grandfather.
okay? Who wrote the piece? Who wrote it? Who wrote it
Oh,
about your grand?
it was written by the family. It's like an introduction of him and how the poetry came about.
Okay, great.
Yes, so it says he enjoyed writing poems to relatives. And growing up, we knew that Parabet Ajayi Bright was a produce examiner, and he devoted his adult years as a pastor, living his life as a non-denominational preacher. And when he was to write letters to people, to family members, to relatives, he would always write his letters as poetry. So something like this. I think I should read something for you. Dear Letter by Pa Robert Ajayi Bright. That's my great grandfather. It's titled Dear Letter. It says, Dear Letter, go upon your way over the mountains, plains, or seas. God bless all who speed your flight to where I wish you to be, and bless all beneath the roof where I would bid you rest. But bless even more the one to whom this letter is addressed. So this particular poem was always at
Oh, that particular poem is always.
top, at the corner of. So my great grandfather was a poet, and so his offsprings, and down to the third generation of the Bright descendants. I am a member of the third generation. We have this poetry running in the family, so we came about this collection of poems.
That is marvelous. I think it's great. Talk to me for just a minute because your lip sync got off for a little while. Just say hi.
Okay,
There you go.
hi.
You said okay. That's good. It was off for just a minute, so it was delayed.
Okay.
So what I want you to do now is to share. And I know we had a project that we were supposed to do. Did you do your end of it?
I was thinking that probably we'll work on it together.
No, no. What do you want to do? Impromptu thing? No, you don't want to do
I thought it
that.
was something like working together on the show. I thought something creative, something on the show.
Would you like to do something on the show, creative? We could do something together. I did that
Yeah,
one other
that's what I
time.
thought.
I did that one other time, an impromptu creation with one of I think it was Kim Miller and I came up with something at the end of the show that was creative like that. So we could do that. It's a little
Yeah.
scary, but it's exciting at the same time. And if we come up with something good, we do. If we don't, there you go. It is what it is.
I think it's
But
going to be fun,
yeah, it will. Yeah, it will be.
and
It will be
I'm
great.
excited.
Yeah, I just didn't know that you were going to do that to me. Last time I was doing it to her, and now you're doing it to me. I was, I was going to leave my excuse. Usually, I ask someone to come up with a title, and we both write on and present it at the time. But obviously, I didn't have time since I was up all night battling the technical issues I was dealing with, and then you didn't either. So yeah, impromptu is probably where we both need to be. You were taking the time to do it. But I want you to go ahead and read some of your beautiful poetry. You have so many beautiful
Okay.
writings. Why don't you read about four pieces? I'm going to give you the stage, darling. If
Four
something
pieces.
comes up and you freeze again, if you freeze again, then I'll come back on. But you go ahead
Okay.
and do.
Okay. So I think I'm going to start with this particular book. It's titled The Beauty of Words, and I like to say this book is my inner child. It is a celebration of my inner child because I this book is made up of a collection of poems from when I was in my preteens. Yeah. So I have beautiful poetry, and they all range from themes of nature, society, memories, agony, fantasy, friendship, and family, then literature. I think I'm going to read one from. Let's start with nature. I think I'll pick something from nature. Let's read. I'll read The Beauty of Flowers. That's on page 6. If you have the book, The Beauty of Flowers on page 6. Okay. Sweet wonders of the earth enriches our minds and hearts. In their beauty, we beget memories to save and savor, and a rhythm of life that makes us shimmy. Flowers are wonders of the earth, with colors so brilliant and lush, fragrance that captivates the nostrils and the mind. Flowers are a part of our lives, on the prints of our favorite dresses, on the dinner table at Thanksgiving, at your doorstep from your Valentine. Flowers are an image of elegance, of kindness, and of tender heart. They depict the mind's emotions and leaves the receiver a memory to keep. There is so much beauty in those lovely petals that brings hearts together. That's the beauty of flowers. Um, I think I'm going to pick another poem from fantasy. Fantasy, that's on page 60. And this particular poem is titled Fantasy of Colors. Beauty lies in the delights of life, in the goodness that enchants our eyes, that which captures our hearts and brightens our faces. Beauty lies in the vibrant hues of ripe mangoes that drip down our chins, in the rich pink of the queen of fruits, in the blue of creamy bananas, in the red of spicy chili. Beauty lies in the vibrant hues of the golden sun with warm rays, in the dazzling green of fresh grasses in your garden, in the clear color of refreshing rain on a hot sunny day, in the brown of earth. Beauty lies in vibrant hues of precious gems that astonishes, in the stunning green of emerald, in the inviting blue of sapphire, in the shiny yellow of gold. Beauty lies in vibrant hues that illuminate the room, in the maroon of your favorite couch, in the distinct colors of your favorite portrait, in the colored lights on that special festive night. Can you tell me about beauty? Beauty without colors? So that's two poems from The Beauty of Words, a collection of poems published by Prolific Pulse Press LLC.
That was beautiful. And when you were saying that, I was envisioning you someday being a lawyer and in your closing arguments being able to use something like that. You know what I mean? I think you can actually use poetry when you become a lawyer because I can envision it.
I'll see about that. Okay, I'm
It's a
going to
thought.
read from
Thought.
Tremendous Words, Unique Poems from an African Teen. And I'm going to read two poems to make up the four. And I think I'll pick a poem from, let's say, I'll pick The Most Beautiful Place. I'll read The Most Beautiful Place. It's on page 24. The Most Beautiful Place. The fantasy of Paris measures less to your elegance. I see the brilliant colors of the rainbow splotched on your heart, as beautiful as a blooming starry night. When I hold your gaze and return your smile, all I see is beauty beyond your looks. My heart melts with sweet gratitude for all your love and sweet attitude, fluttering a dance to your song of kindness. I've toured beautiful places, none as fabulous as your heart, a place that radiates light to me in the deep dark. In your heart, I have found beauty, none coveted and warm love, with a duty to make our bond stronger. When our hearts reach for one another, I am assured that I could reach for the stars because they are promises of better times from the most beautiful place. So this has a note, dear reader, the most beautiful place is your heart. There lies many colors to paint the world beautifully and make it a better place, bright with no shadows. And now I'm going to read a poem that I love so much. I think it's on page 111. So that's gonna be my fourth poem, 111. This is titled I Am Proud of Who I Am. This is a special poem dedicated to all women around the world, especially my friends, mentors, and role models on the online literary scene who keep standing tall against all odds. I am proud of who I am. Integrity radiates off my being, a strong determinant of my actions. This earns me respect from places least expected. You needn't find me begging to belong. I would not kiss your feet to blend into your crowd. No, I am who I am, a special soul compared to no other. When I stand tall, chin out, shoulders high, determination burning in my mind. None will hurt my passion, nor burn out my vision. Even at night, I'll see far beyond my nose, as the darkness shall not hinder me to attain all my aims. This is what I am, a wonder woman of our time. Tremendous words, unique poems from an African teen.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I was
Thank
just
you.
going on. I didn't realize you had your own talk show or something on there. So I don't know. I was just going through YouTube. Do you have where you interview authors too?
Yeah, I have a show, the Auto Lifestyle and Book Talk show. So my Auto Lifestyle
Yeah,
and Book Talk
I
show
didn't
is
know about
in
that. That's cool.
it's
Yeah.
actually in conjunction with the Auto Lifestyle and Book Talk magazine. So we have a section of the Auto Lifestyle and Book Talk magazine where we interview authors that are going to be coming on the magazine. The Auto Lifestyle and Book Talk magazine has a number of sections. We have featured poems. I mean, guest authors who are just having their works featured. We have featured artists. We have the guest artist, special artist. We have the cover model, who is the guest artist, and we have one more segment, which is the auto lifestyle and book talk interviews. So when we have about two or three, sometimes just one, depending on the edition, author on the auto lifestyle and book talk interview show.
Oh, good, 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 good. Very good. Well, kudos to
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, I just came
Thank
across
you.
that because you are all over. As much as I got stuff on YouTube, girlfriend, you are all over there. I was just
I
looking
try my best.
at your stuff on there, and actually, after I get in a better place, because right now I'm paying for some expensive stuff right now, I might treat you to something highlighting you later on. So we'll talk about that later. So
Okay.
yeah, you've done a lot of stuff, and it's just it's really prolific for someone your age. You know, I think did you come on the scene about the same time I did? Because I've known you for I think like 4 years now. We've known each other for 4 years now. Does that sound about right?
About so. Yeah, about so. I think
How long have you known
so. Yeah,
Jill?
it's about 4 years.
Yeah, because about the same
I've
time,
known you for about 5 years. I've known her for about five
then
years.
I've known you 4 or 5 years. I might have known you 5 years then.
Yeah,
I'm pretty close.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So so we've known each other that long, and I'm just thinking, when did you come into the? When did you first start writing? How long ago was it that you first started
When did
writing?
I do what? Post my
When did
writing.
yeah? When did you first start writing?
Oh, I think I first started writing in my primary three. That was 2014 or so. Then I came on the online literary scene in 2020 during the COVID-19 stay at
Yeah,
home period.
kind of like when we all did. Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's when we all kind of came on the
Yes.
poetry scene. Yeah. So so our timeline's about the same. Well, as far as that's concerned, you were published way before I was. So you were how old when you published your first book?
My first book, I was 13. I think I was about 13 when I published my first book. I was pretty excited. It was my
How old are you
first.
now? How old are you now?
I'm 17, but I will be 18 soon.
Yeah, so 5 years, yeah. So but that's an
Yes.
accomplishment, you know, that's really a major accomplishment.
Yeah.
Um, and what made you get into writing? Is that what made you start doing that? Is that something that you came up with it yourself by yourself, or something that someone else?
Writing has always been my um passion. It has always been this inborn fire. It's within. I started writing, writing short stories when I was in primary school, in primary three, and that was like 20 2015 or so, 2015 or 2016, I think, primary three. And I wrote these short stories from this motivation. I was inspired when I was in, I think when I was in primary one, I read a lot of books. My dad used to come all the way from, we lived in Ondo State, and my dad would come to the state capital, Akure, where we live presently. So my dad would come to Akure and come to my now favorite bookstore. It's my favorite bookstore now. So he'll come to the bookstore and get me books. Um Amazing books. I read Enid Blyton's books and Enid Blyton's books, especially Mallory Towers. I was in love with Mallory Towers. I read Mallory Towers, I read the Children Encyclopedia, I read a lot of books, How Your Body Works, Knowledge Masters. I read about the prehistoric times, ancient Africa. I read I read Ben Carson's books. I read books by Wole Soyinka. That's one of our great authors. He's a Nobel laureate here, and he's a Nobel laureate, and he's from Nigeria. Professor Wole Soyinka. I read books by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. So I was in primary one, and I'd read. My dad ensured that I read far and wide across all genres, current affairs, everything. So I was reading, and I think in that space, when I was in that space, in that time, I kind of, there was this fire ignited in me, this fire for books and for writing. And when I got to a particular point in my life, I think I read this particular book in school. This was not a book that my dad bought for me. Out of school, it was a school recommended text, and a um, it was a fable. I think. And I just loved it. I loved it so much because it was talking about the animal kingdom. And I think probably because I was so young, I was about 7, I was just so inspired. And I remember telling myself, if somebody could write this, then I can write mine. And when I returned home, I think it was that week, I started writing my own fable. And it was also based on the animal kingdom, and most of the stories here in Lessons from Grandma are based off on the animal kingdom because I was inspired by fables. And so yes, that was the birth of Lessons from Grandma. And I wrote the stories and I read the first one to my dad, and my dad was skeptical. He asked me, he said, Elizabeth, did you write this by yourself? And I said yes. And my dad said, okay. Okay. He said, I'm going to give you a title to work on. I want you to write me a story based on this title. And if you can write one, I would help you get your books published. I think that was just a test to know if these books were really mine or if I just copied the stories, if they're really mine, or if I just copied someone else's stories. And I did. I wrote a story based off on the title he gave me. And he was so proud. He was super proud. And he promised me he was going to get my books published, my short stories published, and that birthed Lessons from Grandma.
Wow. Wow, that's quite a story. That's marvelous. Now, I know that that's what you did. I know before you met Jill that you did that. Did Jill, was she the one that kind of got you into the poetry, or were you writing poetry prior to that?
I was writing poetry before I met Jill. I I I was I was focused on writing prose in all sincerity because I connected with prose better than I did with poetry at the time because I grew up reading prose works, drama texts. I never really read poetry so much. But then I was in secondary school, I think my second year in secondary school, and my dad got me a book coach. I'll call him a book coach because he put me through my writing, and so he was reading my books. At that time, I was working on Ladder to the Top. So I was working on Ladder to the Top in those years, and his name is Mr. Somi Ojo. So Mr. Somi Ojo was my book coach, and he was reviewing my books and putting me through the art of writing. And he that was the time when I in secondary school I had to read poetry text more than I did because it's recommended in my school. So I read lots of poetry text, and I think that's ignited this love for poetry. I never knew it was there. I mean, I was focused on prose, and so I read lots of poetry works. And then my book coach as well would always give me poems to read, African poetry, and I love African poetry. So I would read African poetry and he would ask me to review them. And so one day he said to me, I wrote some poems before then. I wrote some poems out of, this expression of myself. So I wrote poems and I gave it to him to read and to review. And there was this day my dad came around the class and to see me. Well, it was a personal class for me, but he came around to pick me up. And then to see my book coach, and my book coach said to my dad, he said Elizabeth will be a better poetry writer. He said I read her poetry. I mean, it speaks to me. And he actually told me. He also said to me, he said I should work on my poetry because he feels poetry are or poetry is the language of my soul, and that's how I'm going to say it. But then that was what he meant, and so I took his advice. I wrote poetry and I started writing poetry through that time. And I was also working on my book, Ladder to the Top. Then my dad was also at that time. My dad was working on getting Lessons from Grandma published. So my dad contacted Mr. Edento Rosso of Mindfield Publishing, and Mr. Edento Rosso at that time got to know that I wrote both poetry and prose. And while he was working on getting these published, he recommended that I submit to Sensibility, an an anthology organized in Asia then. Yeah. So I submitted five poems to Sensibility, and just one was accepted. Garden of Roses. So Garden of Roses was one of my best pieces. I love that poem. So I contributed Garden of Roses to Sensibility, and Jill. Jill was the writer of the blog, so she had to read every single poem in that book, and I was the last poet in the book. So she got to my poem last, and she said the last poem struck her so much, and that was Garden of Roses. And so she contacted me. She told me she read my poem Insensibility, and that was how we kicked off. And she said she would like to officially be my mentor. And so the literary journey, my online literary journey and poetry journey specifically, began with Jill. I was writing poetry before I met Jill, but then Jill guided me and introduced me to amazing souls on the literary scene, and she introduced me to passion of poetry, and to you, and to other amazing souls on the online literary scene.
Yeah, that's wonderful. You know, you're talking about anthologies that you were in. You were in our anthology too, weren't you? The Passionate
I am.
Poetry's
Yes.
one and only anthology, which I need to come up with another one too. But life's been busy. But one of these days, I'll do another anthology. It's quite a
Yeah.
undertaking, but yeah. So I know you're published. I'm in published Imini too. I always tell my children because they don't care about my poetry, but when I die, don't just throw books away. Make sure you look in it to make sure I'm in it or not. You know. So um, it's really did you do something nice for your mother? Do you all have Mother's Day over there? Was that last weekend or
Yeah,
Saturday?
we had Mother's Day, and I'm not at home right now. I'm in school, and my school is a uh what's it called again? Residential, all resident. I mean, we have to all live on school. It's a resident school, so we all have to
Ah,
reside on campus. So I don't go home until the holidays, and my
right.
school is in a different state from and a different town from my state, from my place of living. So here in school, because I was far away from home, I wasn't with my family, but I I called my mom. I wished her happy Mother's Day, and yeah, we celebrated it over the phone. That
That's
was the best we could do.
well,
Yes, but hearing my
my kids all took me out for dinner. I'm just going to give a shout out because my last Sunday was Mother's Day, and I moved last October about an hour away from my children, where we were all about 10-15 minutes from each other. And my daughter lives in my former house, and I live in this apartment where I work. But I'm a little over an hour away, so I don't get to see my kids very often. But they took me all out for dinner last week and gave me something. Two
that's
of my
great.
grandchildren were there. It was very nice. But what
Yeah,
touched me more than anything was I didn't open all the cards I came across today. I came across a card that was still in my car from my son, my oldest son, Nicholas,
that's sweet. That's really sweet of her.
who lived 3 blocks away from me. So he used to come over and we used to play a card game called cribbage. But I want to read. It's just a really short one. I never do my own thing on here, but I was so touched by it. It actually made me like cry this morning. But he always calls me always.
I love the card. It's so pretty.
But he always calls me. He always says every time he sees me, even if I don't have makeup on, even if I look really bad, he always calls me his beautiful mother, even when I look bad. So thank you, Nicholas, for that. Um, but he wrote his little thing in here. It says "Ma" because all my kids call me Ma. He said, I cannot fathom the thought still that you have moved away. I miss you every day, and I hope you know how much you are loved. So always, Nicholas. Um, Anyway, it's the most touching. I don't think I've
That's
ever
sweet.
cried.
That's so
I don't
sweet
think
of
I've ever
him.
cried when I've read a message from my children, but I did with the necklaces thing because, yeah, he used to come over. He was only 3 blocks away. Now he gets to see his sister more often since he moved into my house. But anyway, so happy Mother's Day to your mother because you had a wonderful daughter.
Thank
Belated.
you, and happy Mother's Day to you too,
Oh well, it's a little
and to
late,
all
but
the mothers out there.
all, all the mothers, belated Mother's Day
Yes.
week late. Um, but 45, well, that is aging me a little bit. 45 years ago today, on May 18th, 45 25 years ago is when I graduated from high school.
Wow, that's that's a
It was
long
on
time ago.
it was on a Sunday. It was on a Sunday, May 18th.
Congratulations.
No, that was the
That's
last
a
day I
long
saw.
time ago.
That was the last day I saw my father. Was that day. So this is kind of a sacred day. So yeah, but it's also the day Mount St. Helens erupted, volcano erupted in Washington State in the United
Wow.
States.
That I think
So
that day specifically holds so much memories for you.
yeah, yeah. Well, enough about me though. I just wanted to publicly shout out to my son who I like led that little sentiment. But you have siblings and you have one that's fairly young. Wasn't it a sister? A young sister that
I
you
have
have?
I have two sisters and I have a brother. He's the youngest of us all.
Oh, he's the youngest. It's a boy. It's a boy.
Yeah.
And what's it? What's so your siblings are how old? Where are you in the pecking order?
So my immediate sister, she's going to be 9, and my immediate sister is called Excellence. Emerald just clocked 5, and Everett is gonna be 3 this year.
Wow. And so you're the oldest.
I am.
So I'm sure they all look up to you, though. I'm sure they do.
They do. They call me mom. They call me mom.
I'm sure they do. Do you get bossy with them?
I don't, but then they see me as a mother figure. I mean, I can be strict sometimes. I
Right,
mean,
right.
I try to give them my best, and I love doing as much as my parents have done for me, for them as well. And yeah, when it just gets to that point, they're like, "Mom," and then my brother is always so cute. Sometimes he says, "Mommy, I want you to do this for me." And when he says mommy, he refers to me. And then when my mom is like, "Oh, do you mean me?" He says, "No, my mom. I mean my mommy." And that's so funny.
There's a little identity crisis going on there. You
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. So I bet they really do look up you as a mother figure, and but what a great role model you are too for them, and certainly somebody that they can look up to for forever. I'm sure. So one of the things that I do is I usually ask people weird questions, and I think I asked you this the last time that you were probably on the Aladdin's lamp thing, and I usually don't repeat it, but um, I'd have to look at your other interview to see if your questions were the same or if we even asked that question. But tomorrow you come across Aladdin's lamp, and you are granted 3 wishes, and you can wish for anything you want. What is
Three wishes.
Elizabeth for? It's anything you want. Doesn't it? Doesn't have to be heroic. It can be selfish. Whatever you want to wish for. What would you wish for?
That's something I've never thought about. And okay, let's say if I'm to make 3 wishes, I think my first wish is that my parents live long to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Um, my second wish would probably be to be successful, to make my parents proud, to fulfill my dreams, my goals. Yeah, basically, I think that's what I wish for. To be to be a better version of myself, the version that I dream to be. And I think my third wish is going to be that I live old enough to help my siblings grow, to help them become the best that they can be. So,
Very selfless. Very selfless goals or wishes or whatever. I'm telling you, I would pick something selfish. I'm just like at least one of them. I mean, just one. I know one that I because I always ask that question when Jill interviewed me. Jill Tate, she had asked me that question, and I was not prepared for it, thinking that she was going to ask it. So, but one of my wishes is always that I could spend just one more day with my loved ones who have departed. Just one more day. That's a little fantasy in my mind that I would love to be able to do. But so what I'm going to do, Elizabeth, is I'm going to a couple of things. I want you to go ahead and read. Why don't you do three more pieces, and then we're going to come
Okay.
and we're going to wrap it back up, and we're going to talk a little bit more before we leave. I think
Okay.
it's really good today. Not that we didn't center more on your poetry, that other people know a little bit more about Elizabeth and all that you've accomplished, because you are well
Okay.
accomplished.
Let's
Giving the
see.
stage back to you, darling.
Thank you. I think I'm going to be reading a poem from Ladder to the Top, a book of prose and poetry. So, let's see what I'm going to read from here. Okay, okay. I like this poem. It's titled "Would You?" Some would never climb the highest mountains, may never go a 360-degree, or cruise the deadliest jungles, for that one thing their heart yearns for. Can you walk through fire? Would you take the burn for that one thing which you desire? The journey of success has two known paths, the just and the unjust. The just path I know to be rocky and difficult, the unjust quite easy as a pea. But what waits ahead for the unjust men who have cheated success is deadlier than a wish from the nest of cobras. Why not persevere and take the burns, climb the highest mountains to the top in search of your desired success? For a just man you shall be, free from the curse that embraces all cheats of success. For some day soon you shall find that which your heart desires. Perseverance is key. Be sure to use it. Okay. Before I close this, I'm going to read one more poem from this book. I think it's "Will Not Your Heart to Break" on page 57. Will not your heart to break. This poem is one of my most loved poems, and yes, I'm so happy to be able to read this to. It goes beyond the bracelets, beyond secret knocks that opens doors for sleepovers. It goes beyond tables for two at some dinner with pizzas too. The physical might just be a cover. It goes beyond shared taste in shopping art. True friendship goes beyond them all. It seeks the entire heart of those playing the game called true friendship. Know your friend so well, so you may stand a chance of no heartbreak when the chameleon called friend attempts to shred your heart. And since we are reading three poems, I think um my final poem will be from Heartbeats, an
And
anthology of poetry.
when was that one published, Elizabeth?
Heartbeats was published in 2021.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, so my poems are on page 62. Um, and I'm going to 63. I'm going to read a poem from, let's see, that's a tough choice. I think I'll read 63. It's "The Beauty of Togetherness." I sat with my brethren around the bonfire, playing the game of Would You Rather under the blanket of the sky, with shining stars to light up the night. I snuggled under my blanket, whispering into the night with my friend. Her voice, a soothing balm and a salve. Could anything be more beautiful than confiding in a trustworthy friend? Could the Easter or the Thanksgiving or the Yule be celebrated without the smile of a loved one? If you know the beauty of togetherness, then I believe you would understand the beauty of faces lit up by smiles around you. from Habits, a collect an anthology of poems published by Prolific Post Press LLC.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. It's all beautiful. I think that in life, everyone has value, purpose in life, and we have a reason why we're here. We have value, and you certainly
Sure.
have all of that. I think that in my life, I've met a handful of people or so, maybe a couple handfuls of people who very much impact me, and I can feel their soul. You can feel just kind of almost an angelic presence
Sure.
behind that person, and that they are just kind of touched by the grace of God. And you are one of those people that
Thank
I look upon as being one of those kind of chosen ones. Maybe you're one of those angels on earth that the Bible talks
Thank
about.
you. Thank you, Annette. Your words mean so much to me.
And
Thank you.
well, and I'm really not just blowing smoke anywhere. I'm really saying this sincerely, and that I really believe this about Elizabeth. And you just are this near and dear person. And one day we shall meet, and that would be a wonderful time. So
I know.
I'll probably hug you for
I look
5 minutes.
forward to that day.
It'll probably be 5 minutes before I
I
let
look
you
forward
go.
to that day. I
Um,
do. Thank you,
yeah.
Annette.
Oh, you are so welcome. So, everyone, Elizabeth's out there all over the place. You can look her up on YouTube. She has lots of things out there. She's not only a wonderful writer, author, poet, she also has accomplished so much as far as bringing light to other poets as well. And you are always on my I need to have another one of those soon too, but you're always on my open mics, which I always appreciate that you attend. So,
I
um,
love coming on your open mics. I do. I do.
well, I just can't tell you how much of a joy it is to have you here. And that there's a famous poem. I don't know. I need to send it to you later. Have you ever heard of Desiderata?
I don't think so.
I'll send it to you later. It's a famous poem with lots of wisdom in it. This is my favorite poem for many years. But the whole thing is full of wisdom. It starts out like it has only three little lines I know, but it starts out like go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. And without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Listen to even the dull and the ignorant. They too have their stories. And then it has another piece in there that says, but do not feign affection, nor be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as a grass. And then my favorite part says this it says, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness, and beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And you certainly have a right to
Thank
be
you.
here.
That spoke to me. Thank you.
Well, I will send you the whole thing. The whole thing's full of wisdom. I wish I would have written. It was written in 1927 by Max Ehrman. So it's
I would love to have it. Thank you so
yeah.
much, Annette. I've had an
I'll send you.
amazing time on here.
Love and blessings to you. Give my love to your parents and siblings and everyone. And thanks those who are here and who have watched. Kathy Griffith is here. She's the only one that commented. Kathy is Silver Cat, one of my admin for Pop. Amazing story. How sweet and bittersweet memories. And then they look up to you. I think she's talking about your siblings. So yes, indeed. So thank you, Kat, for commenting. Really appreciate it. Um, feel free to share this with other people. Get Elizabeth out there, and if they don't know about her, they should. So you are near and dear to me always. Love and blessings to you, Elizabeth. Love and blessings to everyone.
Thank you, Annette. And before I go, I would like to just give a small shout out to you for everything. I can't count the blessings of your friendship, your mentorship, your love, your support. I mean, when I look back at my the art of my becoming in the poetry field, in my poetry journey, I have to mention your name. I have to say thank you because you have built me. You have taught me lessons, invaluable lessons in life. Learning from you, even from afar, I have learned quite a lot. And even from the rare, from being close to you, I've learned so much. Thank you so much, Annette. And thank you for founding this platform, Passion of Poetry. The Passion of Poetry is like a family for me, a safe space, because most times when I'm in school now, for instance, I get really overwhelmed with academic works, but then the pop open mics, the pop charts, the Passion of Poetry as a poetry platform itself is a place where I go to seek like refuge, to be able to reconnect with my inner self, the poetry in me, and it's all thanks to you. Thank you very much, Annette, and a big thank you to Jill, Sharon Kimmerman, to all my mentors, to my supporters for their love, my publishers, Prolific Post Press LLC, Wildfire Publications, Mindfit Publishing. I love and appreciate you. You are my family, and to my dad, to my mom, my siblings, Excellence, Emerald, and Everett, because they are going to be watching. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you for loving me, for being there for me, for building me, and for making me whom I am today. And yeah, to my friends, to my lecturers, to my connections, my acquaintances, I say thank you. Thank you so much for staying tuned.
You know what we forgot to do? What did we forget to do?
What's that? I think it's the poem. I think that'll come another time. I mean, that'll come another time.
We'll do that another time. We'll keep the
Yes.
title there, and we'll do another time. Kathy
Yes.
said hi. So hey, Kat, good
Hi.
to see you.
Thank you
And
so much for staying tuned.
thank you so much. Again, Elizabeth, love you dearly. You are rocking it in your own world. Just don't forget about us when you're a big lawyer up there someday. Just don't ever forget your poetry writing roots.
I
Okay?
will.
All right, darling. Love and blessings to you and
Thank
everyone
you.
else. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Take care,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.